Hi everyone, welcome to today's live session. So guys, a lot has been happening in Nigeria as regards to the Niger coup. We all know that actually there is fire on the mountain. I mean, things are not looking good at the moment because the Western world is pressing on Nigeria to go after Niger. And we all know that that is going to have a very huge implication on our country. So before we dive into that topic, we want to look at a recent statement that was made by the current president of Nigeria. He has come out to say that his election, I mean, the election that brought him into power was very credible. That those that will not accept defeat, they are not worthy to celebrate for joy, something like that. So, guys, we all know how this election went. Everybody that was in Nigeria witnessed how this election went, and we all know what happened. So, I'm going to be bringing Dr. Tel to take us through this. But before that, I've got a clip that I want us to look at. So from there, Dr. Etel will come in to make one or two comments before we go back to look at what is happening in Niger. How is it going to affect Nigerians? I mean, we have so many states of Nigeria bordering Niger. So it's really going to have negative impact on us. That's why we have to be concerned as citizens. We can't just say, oh, it's not happening in Nigeria, that is happening in Niger, when we know we have common boundary with Niger. So this is really a very serious topic that every Nigerian has to pay close attention to. So guys, before then, let me play this clip where our current president made the statement that I spoke about before now. So just
of a free and fair election do not deserve the joy of victory.
Those who cannot accept the result of a free and fair election they do not deserve the joy of victory.
Well, Audio Man, YouTube, and the 17-track album features guest appearances from the cavemen that brought him into power as the most credible ever in the history of Nigeria, stating that those who cannot accept the result of a free and fair election do not deserve the joy of victory.
Those who cannot accept the result of a free and fair election they do not deserve the joy of victory.
Well, obviously, we all know that this is a controversial statement. Let me take some comments. This is from Chibuzo, who wrote, Yaradua was so sincere that the election that brought him in was flawed, and he was respected for that. He didn't come to insult Nigerians by telling us, after all, the opposition won many states and also seats in the National Assembly. Well, another Twitter user there goes, none has been free and fair since 1999, but none has been closely watched and observed either, like the just concluded one. It wasn't business as usual. If it was, everyone would have moved on already, as it used to be. INEC should prove how Tinubu won, so we can move on. It's simple. I'm sure you guys have discussed this at length. The president, while speaking about the affairs of the party, which has produced the former governor of Kano State,
I can't hear at all.
oh sorry. I'm sorry for that. You can hear me now, right?
Yes, please.
Yes, I was saying that I decided to pause so that we can, deliberate on what the sitting president has come out to say, that the election that brought him to power was credible. And somebody was saying that Yaradua was very sincere to have told Nigerians that the election that brought him to power has so many question marks around it. But the current president is saying that it was an excellent process that brought him into power. So, Doctor, please, you can come in at this point and say one or two things before we continue with the video.
In media, thank you for having me this evening anyways. And viewers, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Can you still hear me? All right. In media, there is what is called talking points. Talking point is a topic and a phrase you choose to bring up, and then you keep repeating it and keep repeating it, hoping that people are going to assimilate it and buy it. So the word credible is a talking point. APC, their candidate, as you have heard, the president now, and even INEC have chosen to adopt, especially as we are expecting the outcome of the presidential election petitions. Why do I say so? In the court, his lawyer, Olanipekun SAN, used the word impeccable, that INEC conducted an impeccable election, which the meaning of the word means faultless, without fault at all. Impeccable election. Okay? It is impeccable despite the fact that Yaga Africa released their report this week saying that INEC disappointed. It is impeccable despite the fact that ECOWAS, this ECOWAS, that he is now the president, had their own report, which they tendered as evidence, as a document they tendered as evidence. And a section of that particular report, they asked their star witness, their star and only witness, to read from it. And after reading some paragraphs in that place, he used his mouth to speak inside the court that he does not accept that. And I remember that Levi Uzoku SAN put it to him that you are denying the evidence you people presented here. And then it is impeccable and credible. That is why Olanipekun SAN awarded INEC 90% success. That INEC performed 90%. Okay, maybe they hope that as they continue with these rhetorics and these talking points, that the judges will adopt it and it will now become part of their judgment, hopefully. So
I'm thinking possibly they just want to brainwash the minds of Nigerians. When they keep saying they won, it was credible. People might tend to buy into that actually they won. But I think it's not really that easy for them to convince Nigerians that this election was credible.
Yeah, of course, Nigerians, is this election credible? Was it credible in your polling unit? Was it credible in your ward, in your local government, in your state? All those people who had bloody eyes, who had to go for surgery just because they came to vote, that is a proof of credibility. All those police vans that came to carry away ballot boxes, that is a proof of impeccable conduct of election. Okay, all those ballot papers that were scattered in a place like Lagos just after voting to make sure that it was not counted, that is how to produce impeccable election outcome. Is it not a shame that people who could make this kind of statements are our leaders? Someone said that politicians, okay, I've forgotten how it was quoted, but let me not bother myself. Let's just move on. Let's move on. I can barely hear what you're saying, please.
Abdullahi Ganduje, as his party chairman, said the party has a responsibility to promote unity, stability, and love among members. He also acknowledged that although Nigeria is going through challenges, which he has sufficiently addressed in his broadcast, his administration is ready to re-engineer the country's economy, adding that policies that have been put in place are for the people and not to punish the people.
I brought before you the renewed hope to fulfill your dreams and the dreams of our founding fathers. To be sure that Nigeria remains the focal point of our foreign and domestic policy.
Renewed hope. A lot of people are still waiting for the renewed hope. But I mean, the controversial thing that occurred in that event was the nomination or the declaration or the announcement of Abdullahi Ganduje as its party, as the APC party chairman. Let me take Fisaya Shwombo's tweet, who wrote, "From being filmed hastily stashing $230,000 under his Babariga in 2018, Abdullahi Ganduje has now emerged the national chairman of Nigeria's ruling party. Elsewhere, he would be rotting in jail today. But Nigeria being Nigeria, the reward for corruption is public office." This is a stern tweet, unfortunately, Rufai. That is the rhetoric on social media. A lot of people have talked about the fact that, you know, Ganduje, I mean, we all have talked about it. It could have been somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are going to stop it at that point. Honestly, the reward for corruption is public office in Nigeria. They don't even want to look at people's past. And this is one of the things we are struggling with at the election tribunal, that the sitting president has a very bad past when it comes to the forfeiture in the US. And we all know what happened, as in when this video was circulating everywhere on the internet that has to do with the past governor of Kano State. Today, he's now the chairman of APC party. And you know what that means, because in one way or the other, he will have a political influence over Nigeria because they are the ruling party. Take it or leave it, he has got a very strong role to play in this current government until the court decides who actually won the 2023 presidential election. So, Doctor, I want you to take over at this point.
Well, there is, just like you said, we might have to branch out to the main discussion we have today, which has to do with the declaration of war that the president is planning to make in Niger. They gave ultimatum 7 days, which will expire on Sunday. And then we'll see what is happening there. It's funny, though, that Ganduje is coming to become, they used to call him Gandola, isn't it? He's now the APC chairman. You see, that's the best they can give to Nigeria. These are the best of their men. You don't have something of better quality and you hide it. The other day we had a discussion here about 5 ministerial nominees that are riddled with either age falsification or certificate forgery and what have you. These are the best. These are the best the president can produce for us to be our ministers. Because, like somebody called APC, a pack of corruption. I'm sorry to say that. It's not me. It's somebody. I'm just quoting someone. So APC, it means a pack of corruption. So what do you expect when you have a bag that is containing nothing but corruption? They can only pull out of it nothing but corrupt entities. That's why we have both the party chairman, ministerial nominees, people with questionable characters and what have you. So let's proceed with our discussion today. I think there's a slide you have that is quoting a certain section of the Nigerian Constitution. Let us publish that slide and use it to have a chat. Okay, these are some of the tweets. Nigerians, 7 northern states bordering Niger Republic at risk of missile if war begins. First of all, before we get to all these tweets, can you give me that section of the Constitution that, in the first place, empowers the president to declare war in another country and its implication? Let's start from that point. And then we come down now to discuss on the consequences of that act. So before we get to these consequences, let's get to the basis under which he can even declare the war in the first place and examine the possible intention for doing that. I can't hear you, please. I can't hear you.
I said we don't have that slide.
Okay, just give me a second. I'm gonna read it up. Okay, just give me a second. I'm trying to read up what is available on. Okay, here in our constitution, I have it here. If you go to section 135, subsection 3 of the Nigerian constitution, it says, if the federation, meaning Nigeria, is at war in which the territory of Nigeria is physically involved, and the president considers that it is not practicable to hold elections, the National Assembly may, by resolution, extend the period of 4 years mentioned in the subsection 2 of this section from time to time, but not such extensions shall exceed a period of 6 months at any one time. Now, there is rumors making around, creating certain kind of intentions for this declaration. Some people are saying that the president is hasty to give ultimatum to Niger Republic that is bordered by about 7 northern states. Which northern states? Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Borno, and I think, is it Yobe? No, Jigawa State. So now, if you look at these states, if ECOWAS decide to launch, already Nigeria will be leading it because Nigeria is the big boss and the president is the chairman. And already there is information having it that they're already amassing forces at the upper northern part of Nigeria. Now, somebody is saying that there is every possibility. Okay, that's fine. That's the section of the constitution that we read. If the federation is at war in which the territory of Nigeria is physically involved, and the president considers that it is not practicable to hold elections, the National Assembly may, by resolution, extend the period of 4 years mentioned in subsection 2 of this section from time to time, but no such extension shall exceed a period of 6 months at any one time. Now, someone who is feeling that his presidency is shaky, someone who wants to hold on to power by any means possible, can do anything provided he remains in power, even if it is to the extent that he sends us to a war. And the coup in Niger Republic may have offered him that opportunity. Remember that the National Assembly may, by resolution, the National Assembly has majority of the APC, and all of them are in cahoots with all these things. And all they need to do is to say, oh, we are supporting our president. And they resolve and say, we cannot allow this to be. And then he declares war. And the moment one missile from Niger drops on the soil of Nigeria, it means that Nigeria is now physically, the territory of Nigeria is now physically involved. Am I right? And if a territory of Nigeria is physically involved, the president can now boldly say, anything about election, just like what is happening in Ukraine now. Ukraine has suspended the election indefinitely because they are in war. So the president will do what? Wake up and suspend anything election indefinitely in Nigeria because Nigeria is in war. After every 6 months, he will renew it again. So is it possible that for selfish reasons, Nigeria may be dragged into war? Is it possible that Nigeria may be dragged into war for selfish reasons? Now, that particular tweet by Sahara reporters, bring it out and let us see the implication of that particular war if we go over there. Please, how many states do we have that is bordering that place? I know we've counted 6. We've counted 6 so far.
This slide says 7. So
Yes, I know, but when we look at it, excuse me, give me a second. I know I'm going to be able to find it now. So you see the number of states that we have that is bordering there. We have Sokoto State, okay? We have Kebbi State. We have Zamfara State. We have Katsina State. We have Jigawa State. We have Yobe State. And then we have Borno State. All these states are bordering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are 7 states that are bordering Benin, Niger Republic. Remember that. I remember when some of my colleagues, when we were doing our youth service, who served in Jigawa, they used to enter Camel and just cross over to Niger Republic. Go there and come back because it's a land border. And so if one bullet drops on the Nigerian territory from Niger Republic, Nigerian territory is now physically involved. So number one implication is that all these states will become vulnerable. Number 2 is that the so-called Boko Haram and the Islamic terrorists that are in those countries can now easily pour into Nigeria. We don't even know the number of refugees that will now run out of Niger and become Nigeria. So do we have plan to accommodate that amount of terrorists, both the terrorist one and the refugees too? Not to talk of the fact that our soldiers' life may be on the line. Many women are going to become widows because because remember, Niger Republic is not taking, it's not like Gambia where a civilian was in power. This is military guys that took over. And the head of this military that took over was actually trained by the US Army. He was trained by the US military. So you can say that he's not a rookie in the military. He is someone that is well trained. They are strategists too. And so is it possible that just to hang on to power, is it possible that someone is afraid that before the judgment of the court comes out and say, get out, you are not the president, that he can invoke his executive power to even make whatever the court would deliver to be a nullity? Is it possible that someone may have reviewed in and out and realized that this, my presidency, is not going anywhere, even though our court used to say to presidents, okay, don't worry, continue, before IRF came out. The way this one is going, the intel I am receiving cannot keep me. Let me keep myself in certain ways. And he found a loophole in our constitution with which he can use to keep himself in power. That is on the one side. On the bigger scale, there was this video clip that is trending where a South African Broadcasting Corporation lady was talking about ECOWAS being weak and that the election that brought our president is questionable. And because of that, the ECOWAS heads of states, that they lack, this kind of charisma to act. Okay. I have also been listening to SABC for some time now, and there is another news report that came from SABC where one of their correspondents took time to hammer on the weakness of ECOWAS with respect to Nigeria's election. But that is not even where it ends. I also noticed that politically, South Africa as a country so far have been hobnobbing with Russia. Okay? Hobnobbing with Russia. And then some other countries in Africa that are currently being governed by military juntas, like Mali, like Burkina Faso, they're already saying that they will want to support Chad in case there is any war that is declared. And these countries, as I talk to you, were in Russia the other time having meeting with Putin. So now I am also asking myself, our current president has been also trying to hobnob with France. He's been going to France before the election and even after election. And the Niger Republic happened to be the former colony of France. So what is the relationship between the France that the Niger people are currently trying to kick away, the Russian that is hobnobbing with these countries, and the West? When I mean the West, I mean America and other EU countries. Now, EU told us that they have uranium that will last them for some time. Unfortunately, when I read that thing, when I saw that news, I was so disappointed. And I'm asking myself, so all the EUs care about is uranium that will help them power their nuclear plants. And as long as they have enough that will last them for some time, the Niger Republic people, they can roast, they can burn. So, and somebody else is saying that France mine their uranium from 3 countries in the world: Kazakhstan, Niger Republic, and Canada. And Kazakhstan is an ally of Russia. Now Niger is tending towards Russia, and the only country they will be harvesting uranium from will be Canada. So is it about mineral resources they are coming to fight for? So what I'm trying to say in effect is Russia is interested in frustrating a country like France by making sure they don't get gas and making sure they don't get uranium, which is available in Niger Republic. So is the West willing to stay and allow Russia to take over Africa? If the answer is no, is our president willing to become a pawn in their chess by dragging us to war and exposing us to body bags and exposing us to refugees and exposing us to terrorists moving into the country? These are questions we need to start asking. There are some questions some people are asking. I don't know if I can see it and just respond while we go on. But it says, please, sir, are the petitioners allowed to amend their petition or prayers when it gets to the Supreme Court? Larry, you want to take us back to the petition tribunal again? Okay, this is the biggest thing for us that is important. When the appeal court releases their judgment, what you will do is that if the appeal court releases a judgment and the judgment did not favor you as a petitioner or even as a respondent, they will definitely comment on why the petition did not favor you by saying you argued this and we have also looked at it like this and we are discounting what you argued. So what you do is that you appeal to the Supreme Court and refine your argument again by asking the Supreme Court to revisit it again and refining your argument. For instance, in the case of, I think Ngololo versus, I've forgotten, there was a case like that in Bauchi State that was held in appeal court in Jos in 2019. In that particular case, the trial court, which is the election tribunal, said that they did not, APC did not, no, ANPP did not prove their case well beyond reasonable doubt. And then ANPP was able to do what? Produce an argument that say, we proved our case. This is the reason. This is the reason. And then quoted again the sections of the Constitution that backed their case. And the appeal court upheld it and gave judgment in their favor. So that is it. So back to what we are discussing. So I don't know if there's any other question. Larry, I think I've done justice to the question you just asked now. It says, favor says, Hillsong. There are plenty. Let's take it one after the other. Favor. Nigerian democracy is a fraud. That is why we blacks living in Europe always experience bad images in workplace, hoping all black people are criminals. Why? Because the handwriting is published. Well, unfortunately, we can't rule that impression out. That means APC is probably behind the Niger coup. Only God knows how much they paid the Nigerian soldiers. That is another dimension to it. It could have played into their hand, but I think it is a very expensive one because I don't even think all the ECOWAS countries will be able to step out to support Nigeria if they want to go into that expedition, that fishing expedition, because Niger Republic is not like Gambia that is landlocked or Gambia that is one small. The land mass of Niger Republic alone is something else. How can we even do it? Where do we even start? All right. And the military happens to be the people who took over. And as you know, they have already appointed generals from all the regions. Do you think that this general, they have appointed their own generals? Nigeria have appointed their own generals. So they're all fresh among generals. And our president, you are going to be the commander in chief, military for military. And Burkina Faso is telling you that they are coming. They are going to support. Chad is saying that they're going to support. So what it means is, where are you even going to come from? Are you going to enter through Chad? So you're going to be from Nigeria to Niger, from Nigeria to Niger. So you just open your border porous like that. It's going to be a very challenging thing. And I wish that Nigerians advise the president appropriately that this is a very big gamble. He wants to gamble with the lives, with the economy, and with the security of Nigeria. Security, because the door will be yanked open and all these terrorists will pour into Nigeria. With our economy, because the little money we don't have is what they're going to go and use to burn in that place. And thirdly, the lives, because the casualties is another thing. And some other person was also saying that this is an opportunity for the new military chiefs that were recruited in Nigeria to make their own kill, because when there is new war, new budget, unquestionable budget, they will say this is what we want and that is what we want, and they're lying in their pockets. So how? The northern states will have a taste of Russian missiles. Well, unfortunately, all over the world, our people are everywhere. Whether you're a northerner, you're not a northerner, you're a Nigerian. The fact of the matter is this: it is a political class that is destroying the lives of the northerners. I served in the northern part of Nigeria, and can I tell you, till today, some of my best of friends are still northerners. In fact, I reconnected with one last week. This young chap, when I was serving, was just about 10 years. As we talk now, he's about, I served in 2000. So 23 years plus 10 is 33 years. In fact, when I tapped and I said, are you telling me you're 33 years now? He said, yes. He's now married, he has children. We just met on Facebook. And I was asking him, he happens to be the last child in the family. He's a graduate. Then he was in primary school. He's now a graduate. He's married. He's doing his business. All the elderly ones are married. And I was saying, what of your dad? Please send me your dad's number. I need to talk to him, because I used to go to his father's office then. We have fantastic friends all over Nigerians. Nigerians love themselves. It's just the political class that are using religion, ethnicity to divide us. I am not a Muslim, but I have Muslims who are my friends. I know where our faith differ, but I also know where our friendships converge. So these people are using us like pawn in their chess, and we need to wise up. All eyes on Banana Republic Judiciary. Tinubu cannot bring disgrace from outside other African countries to Nigeria. I repeat, all eyes on the judiciary. Well, I definitely trust and hope that the judiciary will do justice on the petition. Today, I was discussing with a friend of mine, an analyst in the US, and we talked for like more than 1 hour. And we reviewed everything again. You know how we concluded? We said, which judge actually in Nigeria will look at this case and look at the empty reply of APC and INEC and look at the credible quality reply of Labour Party and look at the Constitution and our Electoral Act and say, I give you a clean bill, INEC, and I allow you, APC, to enjoy INEC's mess. That judge must hate Nigeria more than APC. I want to say it emphatically, that judge, in fact, APC love Nigeria more than that judge, because it is the duty of the judge to deliver judgment. We know what our constitution says. We know what happened. But for the reason of our constitutional structure, we have vested that responsibility on them. If they use it negatively, their conscience will judge them. I think the case is as bare as anything. And the Labour Party lawyers did a credible job. You know, today I visited again, I went to the dictionary to check again the legal meaning of mischief rule. And after looking at the mischief rule, it simply says that in lawmaking, like legislatures, when there is a certain law that has a fault, that what the legislatures does is that they say, what is the fault we can correct by making a new law? And then they make a new law to correct the gap that is in the existing law. And that when judges are interpreting the new law, they must interpret it bearing in mind the error that particular new law intended to correct. And yesterday, remember that yesterday, we brought the mischief that the Electoral Act 2022 intended to correct. And that is section 2.9.0 of INEC's training manual. INEC defined the mischief. They're saying, this, our previous Electoral Act used to give this problem. This is why our elections are having problems. And we have tried to correct it with this new Electoral Act. So that is a mischief. And then they deviated from it. So the judges are bound to interpret this case using Electoral Act 1 and bearing in mind the mischief that the previous Electoral Act this Electoral Act intend to correct based on the previous gap we had in the other listing. So when you look at it, you see that INEC does not have a case, APC does not have a case, and the Nigerians are waiting for justice to be delivered. Did anyone else has another question? Just give me a second. My window is open. Let me just close it. Yeah. So let's go on. And it says, I thought cutting the light supply to Niger was Tinubu's response to Niger. Doesn't he know that a war will cripple the economy? Well, as we said earlier on, when people want to stick to power, for instance, look at the president of Syria. Is the country not crippled? But if you see the presidential palace in Syria, you will not believe that it is that country that is torn to shreds. That place is well guarded, well protected. Why the Syrians are dying since how many years now? That place is still posh, it's still cool. Look at the president of Ukraine. With all the war going on and all the tearing apart of Ukraine by Russia and co., do you think that the president is living in the bush like the other Ukrainians? No. Aso Rock is well guarded. Aso Rock is well protected. They will be there whilst others are dying. They will still drive their convoy, their long convoy. They will still eat. They will still fly presidential jets whilst Nigeria is suffering. Let's ask ourselves, how many years was Buhari in power? 8 good years. See the ravaging of Nigerian security by Boko Haram and others. Did it affect him? When he wants to get treated, he goes overseas. Even his own children were studying in the UK, while others were on strike. The vice president children, this particular last year, Around September, around October and early this year, Wike, Governor Mahe, the vice president, all of them were either in UK or in US for the graduation of their children, whilst Nigerian universities were shut down for 8 years. That is your leaders. That's your leaders. And the president just told us that he has come to give us a renewed hope. Renew, which means it is the one they have given us 8 years that want to renew again. God forbid. God forbid. So you see, that's the country where we are, and I pray that God helps and delivers. So the summary is, if Nigeria steps into Niger and declare war on Niger under the leadership of Nigeria as the ECOWAS chairman, it is exposing us to loss of lives, exposing us to insecurity and crushing economic destiny. And then we're also becoming a pawn in the chess of the big powers, the Russia on one hand and the Western Europe and North America on the other hand. Are we ready for all this now? Somebody said today that FBI said that they're not going to release the dossier they have on our president. That if they keep it, they can now be manipulating him, remote controlling him, so that it may not even be him that is threatening to go to Niger, that he probably may just be echoing the voice of America to go to Niger, because they have a button that they can use to remote control him. That is people, there are a lot of theories out there. But when you begin to give a thought to all these theories, you wonder, please let it not be true, because those theories are not healthy, they are not credible, they do not hold any form of positive promise to us as a country. All right, so that is it. Is Tinubu and APC trying to Niger issue to distract us from the election issues he's having? As usual, trying to play trick again. Of course, that's where we started. That's where we started. And really, like Favor is saying here, cutting electricity supply to Niger is a threat to their own economy. And I don't know, but I know that if they do that, let them remember that the pact Nigeria and Niger Republic had was because we have Kainji Dam, which is powered by River Niger. And that River Niger came in from Niger Republic, and Nigeria had an agreement: don't tamper with River Niger, and we'll give you electricity. I'm told that about over 50% of the electricity used in Niger is supplied to the Niger. It's supplied to the Niger by Nigerians, so that we can enjoy Kainji Dam. That is it. So, if you cut off that electricity, what if they themselves go and say, okay, if what we're getting here is the electricity because of our Niger, let us go there and make sure that we cut off the flow of River Niger to Nigeria. There is no other dam that is coming from the Gongola rivers, which formed Benue River. We don't have a dam like that, like Kainji Dam. So all these things are people saying courage. Is the president just being courageous? Did you think it's true? Okay, remember, we are suffering the consequence of the president being courageous by declaring on the day of his inauguration that subsidy is gone. Look at it. And then Naira can be floated. Look at it. So if we can flippantly just make a policy statement like this and it comes into effect without preparing, see the two we are suffering now. If we add word to it, I don't know where we're headed. I don't know. All right, that's all.
Oh, thank you so much for all you've said. For me, one thing that stood out from all that you've just spoken now is the effect of this coup on Nigerians, or on Nigeria as a country, because you were saying that if this war should actually go on, as in if Nigeria, the military, should actually go after the Nigerian military, it's going to affect what we have at the election tribunal, because once there is war and all this conflict, the election tribunal is not going to be taking all these court proceedings seriously again. You know, they are going to suspend it, meaning that the current government will have a long stay. And you make mention of they might want to like stay for 6 months and then still reactivate their stay again for another 6 months. And by the time you know it, time will just be going like that. That will be another strategy. And one
Mhm.
might want to think, does it mean they are loving what is happening currently in Niger? Is it in their own favor? So we may not really conclude, but when you look at it, I think it appears like there is something cooking. I don't know.
Yeah, it's some people, you know, there was something they said when COVID started in 2020. I had one American politician says, don't let a crisis go to waste. Politicians know how to take advantage of crisis for their own to their own advantage.
So I also watched the Garba Shehu. He's from the APC. He was saying something that America wants Nigeria to go after Niger, and also likewise the UK. You know, they are pressing on, including France too. But I think France is against them. That's why they are like burning their flags, going to pull down their embassy. So he was saying that they just want these two countries to be in conflict, so that they'll use that opportunity to get our oil and to like
No,
redirecting
no,
and remote controlling our president. So I don't know if that is actually what one
already,
should be
already,
thinking about.
France is the only country that is harvesting the mineral resources that is in Niger, most of which is their uranium. I'm told that uranium is constitute about 12% of the whole budget of Niger Republic. Now, uranium is what they use to build their nuclear plants, and that is a different ball game. The kind of condition that France gave the francophone countries that they colonized under General de Gaulle is something that when you hear it, your heart will break. But what it means is that Niger is actually free, but they're not free. That's one of the anger the Mali, Chad, they all have, that we are free, but we are not free. They control our finance, they control our army, our defense, they control our resources. So anything that touches all those francophone countries, which includes Togo, includes Cameroon and co, is France. It's France. So that's why they are now burning the flag of France and the Nigerians flying the flag of Russia. But I'm asking myself, where did they get the flags of Russia? You know, all these things are propaganda. Let me put it this way. You know that SABC, South African Broadcasting Corporation, is owned by the South African government. And the way that media house has been boldly talking about the weakness of ECOWAS and connecting it to the shaky election in Nigeria makes me feel like they are the mouthpiece of a power bloc that they don't like, that they like. And that power bloc cannot be France, cannot be, and when you talk France, you're already talking EU and talking America and co. And which power bloc could that be? Maybe China or Russia. And remember that they all had African presidents, whatever meeting with at Petersburg this month. I think it was this month, yes, or late last week. In Russia, they had a meeting with the president of Russia, Putin, and they're having meeting with Putin, and the government-sponsored media house is talking about another country in Africa in such a derogatory form, somebody somewhere is telling them, say it, we are behind you. I believe that the government of South Africa is telling the media house, push this narrative, push this narrative. And that government of South Africa is being encouraged by another power block somewhere. This is how these things are played. This is how it is played. And that frightens me because the consequences is bigger than what we are seeing is the tip of the iceberg. The interest that all these people are representing is bigger than Nigeria can imagine.
Yes, Doctor, we're about to round up. Let me just play this clip. The
Okay.
Nigerian citizens, they are protesting because you know that Nigerian president is the head of ECOWAS. So they are protesting. Before now, he was, I think, was he in Congo? Sorry, there was this country he went to that he was cited closing his eyes, and the photo was making rounds on the social media. And you can see what they have for Nigerians.
It's a pity. It's a pity indeed.
So, guys, yeah, this is what we have in Africa. This coup is really happening mostly in Africa. I don't know why, but the truth is not far-fetched. We know that we have problem when it comes to leadership in Africa. In most African countries, their leaders hardly step down. They hardly retire, even when they are sick. They just want to still remain in that position of being the president of the country. And it's not as if they are working or providing the necessary needs of the people. They will still be there without servicing or rendering the necessary services, but they would still want to like maintain that position. And this is what really usually give rise to all this coup. So until we start fixing leadership problems in Africa, this coup of a thing will never come to an end. And like we can see now, Russia is like supporting them. Most of them that have already experienced this coup, they are now embracing Russia. Even this Niger, they've embraced Russia. They don't want to listen to America. They don't want to listen to any of the Western countries because they are like, the Western countries are the one sponsoring all the rot happening in Africa, that they are tired of all that. They want to sanitize their countries. This is what they are claiming. Because I watched a man on Facebook today, and he was saying that the Western world will send their journalists. Their journalists will go into the forest to interview some of these terrorists. And then you begin to wonder, how did they get their phone numbers? How did they? He was making, what he was saying was actually making sense. And you begin to wonder, does it mean that it's actually the Westerners that are sponsoring all these things happening in Africa? And the man was like, they would like to like hold the African leaders ransom so that they will keep directing them, remote controlling them and telling them what to do and what not to do, so as to leave Africa in the dark. So this is what they are saying they are fed up of. They are tired of all this. They just want to be liberated. And that's why all that America is saying now, Niger is not even paying attention. As in, if you get to know their boldness, they are very bold. Even the 7-day ultimatum that was given to them that is about to expire, they are ready for anything. You see them displaying their soldiers, their military strength and all that. This is just because there is a very big vacuum when it comes to leadership. Give people those little things that they are asking for. The people are not even asking for much. Give us good schools, give us water, let there be security, give us light, just minor things. And when it comes to election, allow us to choose the leader of our choice, just like what we saw during our own election. These are things that could resort to coup. You allow people to exercise, their rights in choosing who they want him or her to be their president, and not just imposing someone on us. So I just pray that our leaders will get to learn from what is happening. This is like a revolution happening now in Africa. Many countries in Africa have experienced this coup. We are just praying that it doesn't, Nigeria doesn't experience it. But nevertheless, we must tell our leaders that it's time to start paying attention to what the citizens are saying, because anything can happen at any time. So, Doctor, I don't know what your closing thoughts are so that we can close for today.
No, I'm fine. Let's hope it doesn't happen, and let's hope that someone is not just for personal gain expose all of us. Remember what they said, how Nero, for his own selfishness, burnt down Rome. It's not today that leaders started exchanging the destiny and future of their countries for their own selfish interests. But I hope it doesn't happen in this our generation and in this our Nigeria. And I also pray that the court delivers quicker than we anticipated. Let's know the direction the nation is going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc, for your thought. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. No doubt our eyes are on our judiciary. They must do the needful. And let's not be distracted. Yes, this coup of a thing is very important that we have to share our own thoughts on it. But nevertheless, let's stay focused and keep praying to God, believing that the judiciary will not have any other option than to dispense justice. I want to say a very big thank you to all of you that joined us today. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can help us to showcase it for others to see. Subscribe to this channel. That's the only way you can support us. And thank you for your time. No doubt we are going to see you again tomorrow. God bless you all for being a part of today's night session. Good night and bye.
Thank you. Bye. Good.